Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Rylas Dana. I'm an attorney here at Dana and Associates in Arizona and California, and I help attorneys with their practice through Mott Legal. So today I have a very exciting topic. I think it's exciting. It's something that I talk about often, and I've seen it come up recently. But the topic is how do you manage your passwords? What should you do with your passwords? Now, recently I saw this on a message board for attorneys in um, a group for attorneys. So hopefully they don't delete the link for this live video on that attorney feed because I'm attempting to answer those questions. But someone was asking if there is a good template to share passwords, and I responded with I don't have a good template, but I have a complete solution for transferring that information, and I really don't recommend sharing passwords. So today's a little bit longer explanation that I'll get into of 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 how you should plan for that electronic information. Let me share my screen here. So this is where I practice law in Arizona and California. There's a website and phone number. That's the best way to get a hold of me if you want to set up your estate plan in Arizona and California, or if you need help with probate or trust administration. All right, so we have a three-part planning process for electronic information. So I'm the founder of Mott Legal, and I'm allowing other attorneys to use some of the things that I've created for this digital asset planning through Mott Legal. So the steps are there's a general request that I make in all the estate planning documents, and then I recommend that you should give some specific instructions for certain types of assets like email, iCloud accounts, and things like that. And a vault is the third part of our process. We provide a way to share information electronically. As part of our estate plans, we provide a license it's through Everplans. But basically it's cloud storage that you can decide who can access it and when they can access it. All right, so the first thing to get into this password management is what is the password controlling? So what is the underlying thing? So if the underlying thing is money in the bank, what's important is transferring the money in the bank, not so much the ability to log on, but the ability to transfer the assets to the proper person. If you have cryptocurrency, then they're completely controlled by the password, by that private key. Whoever has the private key has full access to the cryptocurrency. So that's kind of a very different thing. The private key to a cryptocurrency versus the password to your Wells Fargo online banking account. Social media accounts. So again, the underlying thing is the social media account. And then cloud storage is the other category. So like Apple iCloud or Google Drive or Amazon, any of that cloud storage. Okay, so what type of account? So with cryptocurrency, that private key, it gives you a lot of control. So in estate planning, I treat cryptocurrency kind of like cash in that whoever has the private key has control of the assets. Just like if you had cash sitting in a safety deposit box, whoever had access to the cash has full control over it. Now, most accounts are a single user license. So like your online banking accounts, no one reads those long agreements, but you click I agree. And what you're agreeing to is that the account is just for your lifetime. And in most of the accounts, there's language in there saying that you're not to share your password and that it's only to be used by you. Now, while you're alive, if you give people your password, it's not as big of a deal because basically they're using it under your permission. But it becomes a weird area after you pass away. So if it's a single user license and that user is deceased, then that agreement usually terminates at that time. So there's not a good way to share the password once someone dies. Not a real good, it's not an actual legal way. So Apple iCloud is also a single user license. The agreement ends upon your death. as most accounts are that way. All right, so first let's talk about photos and videos. So how you preserve those. So first you got to create them, take the selfie, and then where are you going to put them? So if you put them on Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, then they're going to be subject to those licensing agreements. Um, but at least they exist somewhere else besides just your phone. If you want to preserve them, where are you going to keep the files? So if it's digital photos, most are these days, the files are gonna be on your computer. If they're on the computer or a hard drive that you physically have, then it's just a matter of making sure that people can access that information. Alright, so once if you fill up, your phone, or if you have a digital camera, you can put things on a disk or a drive. You can use, software to upload them, and, so if you upload to Facebook or Instagram or anywhere, they have what's called an online tool. An online tool is how you direct what happens to that account. Now, the digital asset trust, that's the tool that we use to give specific instructions over digital assets. So a digital asset trust is where we give the specific instructions. All right, so here's what I do. So, phone, that's where I take most of my photos and videos. It's just easier. I do have my camera here too. So it takes nice pictures, but you gotta get the pictures from the camera to the computer and then somewhere else, a little bit more work. So I keep the cloud storage, and longer videos, or if I have a bunch of videos, I'll upload to YouTube. So after a family trip, I'll try to make an edit of the best photos and videos and put it to YouTube. And then I try to delete in my camera roll some of the excess, and so I don't have too much in there on the cloud. Also, the size of video you shoot can affect the storage. So I usually do 1080. Sometimes I'll shoot in 4K. I just got the iPhone 13 Pro, pretty happy with it, and it seems like it can edit the 4K a little bit better than my 11 Pro did. Okay, so what I do, so I have a safety deposit box that's owned by my trust. So that's where I keep the hard drive. So I do have some videos on hard drives. So the hard drive's in that safety deposit box. And then I also have I have like my private keys to my cryptocurrency in my safety deposit box. That's right. I keep those. And then I have a digital asset trust that gives instructions for my Apple iCloud. So it says copy all the pictures on my phone to my kids. Everything on my iCloud will get copied to my kids. And then in my digital asset trust, I mentioned my YouTube channel, my Google Drive, and I gave specific instructions to copy those to my kids. So that's the general. So the general request we want to leave everywhere. So for the money in the bank, your online banking information, it's about transferring your assets, not so much transferring, just giving someone a password to your online banking. So the general request that's in all of our estate planning documents, it allows to get an inventory of the digital assets, limited to the value of the account, ownership of the account, and name beneficiaries, if any. So tell them the information about the money that's in Wells Fargo. That's what's a digital asset, the information about just the information that they're holding. So the trustee and the power of attorney, they just need to know what that person owns, and then they can use the authority from the trust and from the power of attorney to manage those assets. So this is a schedule as part of our revocable trust that I had the trustor sign to make it clear that they're assigning their digital assets to the trust and that they're giving that limited authority. So That's how you should manage your passwords for the online banking. So it's kinda like you don't share your online banking passwords, but make sure there's a plan to transfer the actual money in the bank. And the first meeting that I have with people, I give them this digital asset inventory and checklist. It's part of our welcome packet with the fee agreement and information about the estate planning timeline. But this is the process to go through when planning for your digital assets. So inventory, meaning what do you have that you care about, that you keep electronically. And then two, check for what's called an online tool, meaning do they provide a way for you to transfer your information on that account? In Facebook, they have legacy settings. That's a good example of an online tool. So if you set that up, that will be controlling, and you can designate if you want your account deleted or if you want to give someone the permission to manage it after you're gone. Now, for accounts that lack an adequate online tool, then you can give specific instructions in a digital asset trust. So Google, their online tool is the Inactive Account Manager, and it's based on if no one logs into your accounts for a period of time, you can set up what you would like to have happen. I don't really like it. It doesn't work for me. I don't want to name my 14-year-old son or anyone as my account manager. So I directed in my digital asset trust, I gave specific instructions for my YouTube channels and my Google Drives. Now for accounts that lack an adequate online tool, okay, so if we don't do it in the digital asset trust, the last option to consider, the very last option is to consider sharing the credentials. So consider sharing the passwords is the very last thing, but you got to make sure it's not prohibited by the user agreements. I had a client, they had a bunch of data. I think it was like at ancestry.com or a place like that. And he was asking me how he should transfer it. So I told him to go through these steps to see if the company provides a way to transfer that data. He ended up calling and talking to them. And what they recommended is for him to leave his account number and password. So for people to log in that way. Um, all right, so digital asset trust, this is where we leave the specific instructions over accounts. So over information that you store on your phone or computer. Um, Specific things, yeah, so email, what I recommend is that you give the trustee an ability to request a list of emails, basically is what that's saying. They can get a list of emails. That's what the catalog of electronic communications is. 'Cause again, sharing your email password, it's not like we're not gonna give full access, and that would be hard to be enforced. These companies are trying to, or at least keep the illusion that they're trying to keep your information private, and they're generally not gonna give that information out unless you have specific instructions. So that's why I'm not sharing the content, not what's, they can't read the messages, they can't your trustee is not gonna have the ability to go read all your old emails. I only want them to figure out what account you have. If there's any bank statements that are going into that email or any bills you're paying, that's the information that they need to find through your email. Um, for iCloud, I give specific instructions there to say to copy the account. Now this is the vault. So the digital vault, there's a little link on our website that says digital vault, and that's the link that we have to the Everplan services. So we provide a way to transfer that information. Um, the vault, instead of a digital vault, that could also be a safety deposit box and at the bank, or it could be a secure place at home. Just make sure that your successor trustee knows where to find your important information. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's any other topics that you'd like to hear about, leave them in the comments. If you have any questions, you can go to the Mott Legal YouTube. There's more videos about this topic, or shoot me an email. Love to hear other ways that attorneys are planning for digital assets and how you're handling this information.